Welcome to the Greater Culture Podcast, where we have conversations about how to elevate the quality of life through movement, nutrition, recovery, and mindset practices. Welcome to another episode of the Greater Culture Podcast. Your host, Brad Marshall. Today, really excited to be joined by Jenn Green, who has had a variety of roles in the CrossFit space over her career. Now has an opportunity to oversee all of the regional reps for CrossFit and those affiliates. So excited to dive in and learn a little bit more about her story and how all these roles have come about, as well as how she thinks about health and fitness. So Jenn, thanks so much for taking some time to be on the podcast today.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so you've had so many different roles in the CrossFit space, which is really cool. And I think also telling that there are a variety of things that folks can do other than just coach or own an affiliate. So I'd love to hear your story. Tell us about your journey of how you came about and were an affiliate owner, have run different competitions, and now helping to manage and oversee affiliate reps.
Yeah. I don't know if we have that much time, but long story short. So I had basically found CrossFit just like randomly 15-ish years ago, and was doing like mud runs kind of thing. And someone was like, oh, you should, try this. And not really even sure what it was, but like I was sold from there. So got started in like a local gym, and we were just using a room on the side, and then kind of grew from there. Definitely wanted to get more into this, and my husband joined probably about 6 months after I did, and we just fell in love with it. Kept telling the owners that we would love to eventually buy the affiliate and take over the affiliate, and we took more of an ownership role in the gym, and with managing and coaching and just kind of handling everything other than like the financial aspect of it. And in 2015, we were gifted the gym from there. And so we've been running it since then as the official owners. So that, on top of that, like we were really big in just like community focused events. So we wanted to just always get the community involved in a fundraiser or a workout, the old school days of just like show up and compete. And, I remember writing the workouts on like a poster board up on the wall, and just doing that. And so just like having a big aspect of community has always been huge, huge for me. And, so like during 2020, and my story's kind of all over the place, but so during 2020, when CrossFit had decided that they needed to have like regional reps, just people on the field, kind of talking to affiliates, like everything going through COVID, kind of someone local that they could talk to and listen. The community nominated myself to be that for North and South Carolina. And so I was super stoked to be nominated for the district rep, is what we were called, for North and South Carolina. At the same time, I had retired from corporate mortgage banking. And so it just kind of all like at that same time decided to run the gym full time. So everything just kind of completely switched from that, and just continued to cultivate the relationships within the community. And in June of 22, became the Southeast Regional rep for CrossFit, working with all affiliates, still continuing to run my gym full time there. And then in June of this year, was promoted to the senior manager, U.S. affiliate operations. And so all of the regional teams are under me so that I can support on like a U.S. level. I'm still definitely running my affiliate full time, have a great team there that helped me do that. But just getting to be involved in CrossFit in all aspects. And, definitely it's something I love to do.
Yeah, it's so cool to hear how many different ways you can apply your skill set and your passion for CrossFit in these different roles. And at the heart of it is still a care for people, care for health and fitness, and how do we bring it to more lives. So I'd love to go back, and you said you went into a gym kind of on the side room of the space you were in. How did you make that transition of like, wow, I really love doing this for me, And now I'd love to help others and make that transition to coaching and then eventually moving on. What was that process like for you?
Yeah. You know, just kind of thinking back, it was like, oh, this would be cool. Like my husband was second to come into CrossFit next to me, but then like he got to coach first. And it was kind of like my husband was, I always am like, you move better, like you gain attention better, you should be a coach. And so obviously that was just where like the enemy was just like saying, putting me down, when I was listening. But it, after I started coaching and just realizing that like we could make an impact in people and like see the difference of like when people would come in and just like inside the gym, outside the gym, how things were changing for them. It was kind of like, oh, we can do this like more on a larger scale, and like we can just continue to run it. We knew nothing about running a business whatsoever. And so those comments that were like, hey, if you ever want to sell it, were just, like they meant well, but it was kind of like, oh my goodness, like if this ever really does happen, like I'm not prepared for that. And so, kind of thinking about, I think when we were saying those, we just loved it and just had the passion for it, not knowing like where it would go or what it would do. And grateful for like mentorships along the way so that we have been able to continue that, but also make it a business as well. And so continuing to make an impact in our community inside and outside the gym, with our members, without our members, in other gyms, things like that.
Yeah, I think it seems like that natural evolution of it makes such a big impact in your own life. You're like, well, how do we have this same impact in other people's lives? And so the
Yep.
first step is to, hey, let me go see about this L1, start coaching, start working with other people. And then I think the bug, if it continues to grow, kind of what you mentioned of like, hey, what if we ran this thing? We love these people, we want to take care of them. What would it be like to own an affiliate and not having that background, like you said, of managing or running a business? What was that transition period like? And you mentioned the mentorship was super helpful, but moving from passionate CrossFitter to coach to now trying to manage and take care of a variety of folks, what was that experience like moving into that affiliate ownership role?
Yeah, I think, we probably got through the first couple of years on just like excitement, and just,
Yeah.
like, oh my God, we're really doing this. But we also were struggling because we both had full-time jobs.
Mm.
And so it was like long days, and, you know, coaching our early morning classes, like working all day at our 9 to 5, like grateful for the one coach that, was coaching that 9 a.m. class. And then, coming in the afternoon, coaching all the classes and just trying to balance it out. We had mentors along the way that had owned their own business and could give that kind of mentorship. And it actually wasn't until I had got an actual like mentor in the CrossFit space through Best Hour and Affiliate U, um, that I began to understand that I need a mentor for affiliate specific, that understands the business processes, the things that we do, the leads, things like that. And that's when my business completely changed. And to the point of like how leads come in, we have a process, like we have just so much organization, and that I am able to step away from working, in my business to working on my business, but also to take full time within CrossFit and, step outside of my gym, still making an impact there in that community, but also like within CrossFit HQ and in that bit larger scale.
Yeah, I think having a mentor or having somebody who's been through some of the same experiences can help shorten that learning curve is so valuable. And I know I've experienced that as well, working with Affiliate U and the awesome work that they've done. When you think back to that transition, or folks out there who maybe are intrigued or interested of like, man, I love coaching, I love being around the gym. Is affiliate ownership right for me? What are some of the thoughts that go through your head, having been through that transition, that you would say to somebody who's maybe they are interested, or maybe like, hey, do I make the jump? Do I make the leap, whether it's to buy a current affiliate or maybe even start one themselves? Anything that you'd recommend or share with those folks?
My gosh, yes. First thing, definitely get a CrossFit mentor, right? So
Yeah.
get a mentor in the space. There's a ton of out there. But I think having a plan, right? So just like when we go in the gym and like we're like, man, I don't feel good today. Like our motivation isn't there, but we show up anyway. So passion and motivation can expire. And so know your why. Like going back to like why you started and have a plan around that. So like when you don't have a good day or you have people that, are wanting to cancel or pause or or just you're not getting what you thought you should get, like go back and think about like your why and the plan that you put around it to succeed. And so it kind of like revives you and and kind of pushes you forward on that. So I would say like those are probably the two biggest things that I would think about.
Yeah, I think having the passion to get things started, get some motivation driving you forward to start the process of applying for an affiliate or potentially purchasing one is really great. But then sooner or later, like you said, wow, working long days, trying to figure out how to make ends meet, all of those other factors start to weigh in on you. And it does make it challenging then of like, okay, why did I get into this or how do I stay in this? So when you think about your own motivation and the passion you have, you mentioned community is a huge one for you. Anything else that, for you that has really helped to motivate and then keep you going over, a good chunk of time of being in the affiliates and then continuing to help serve those?
Yeah. So I think, when I and it changed. So when I first got
Mm,
started, I was just kind of like doing mud runs. I wasn't really like super strong, and I kind of joke like I couldn't go like get my dog's dog food, the largest bag at at PetSmart and stuff. I couldn't pick it up and carry it, and so I'm like I'm weak as anything. So I come into CrossFit and like I'm like, oh heck yeah, I'm so much like stronger and stuff. But then it kind of transitioned into like as an owner, and I was still trying to balance the full time job and not want to let go of like being able to run the gym full time, like that balance. I was putting everyone else first. And so, like, my workout suffered. My stress from my corporate mortgage job was like, was high level, and I had started like drinking a lot, and so it was like a problem where like I would work and serve everyone all the time. I would not make any room for myself to work out. I would just come home and like fix dinner and then like just drink a couple glasses of wine and didn't like think anything about it until I realized that like I was very much in an unhealthy relationship in a lot of aspects. And so like looking back to where like I had a friend that like was like what are you doing? You're not like you think you're showing up for people in the gym, but you're really not showing up for them because you're not showing up as your best version of yourself. And so looking back at that change and like where I am today, it's because I was like, shoot, I definitely need to show up for my people. And it's because of CrossFit. Like that I was able to get back to like even though I was full head on in it, but it was because of CrossFit that I was able to like get rid of that addiction, to lose back that weight, to gain the confidence. But that's just when it all started spiraling. Like I left my full-time job. I got the confidence to run the gym full time. I became, into CrossFit HQ, and just like every since then, things have just kind of like speed rolled through to everything that benefits but gets into that bigger picture when I thought that I was able to make a difference, but I wasn't giving my best self. And
mm.
so, like, through that, it brings out my best self.
Yeah. One of the things that resonates with me a lot about that story, and I think a lot of people can as well, is that it's not just all, sunshine and rainbows and in this uphill trajectory once you find CrossFit. I think there's sometimes this notion that like once I start walking in the gym, like everything in my life just improves and gets better and it doesn't stop improving. We still get a lot of challenges. We still get a lot of difficulties that we face. And when you start to pour so much of yourself into other people, man, it is hard to take care of yourself. And the hours are long. There's classes and people that are counting on you or another coach to show up and be there. Your own fitness suffers. And so you look for other ways to try and navigate that. And it's great to have friends and folks who can bring that to your attention and help make that shift. So when you think about that friend who came and was like, hey, what are we doing here? And you said you sort of got back into CrossFit and that helped pull you out. What did you notice, or what was sort of that shift? Was it just like, hey, I'm going to create some space and time for myself to get my workouts in or focus on, my nutrition? Or what was that process like of I was in it, got out of it a little bit, and now I want to get back in it, but also this time put the focus on myself?
Yeah. So there was a bunch of different things. Like one of the biggest things was at that time is where everyone had went to work from home. And so we were all like, the gym was still open. We were working from home. And so I actually could like get to the gym and work out in a class or before a class. And in that, and so I was able to be like, okay, I can consistently get to the gym and do that. And then got my nutrition on track. I was like, I can consistently do this with my nutrition. I'm at home. I can plan. Like I know what that looks like. And just within that, there obviously wasn't as much social things going on. So I wasn't having to like, you know, go out and figure out what I'm going to eat or like to over splurge, stuff like that. So start of COVID definitely like helped steamroll all that going through. But also just like really digging in, and I started journaling a lot and just like journaling emotions and feelings and thoughts and responses and just like getting it all out and just kind of figuring out like it's okay, I can say this, it's okay to say no. You know, giving my best yes might be a no, but that's okay. And just, you know, slowly starting to realize that like when I felt the best, when I was making the biggest impact, that I gave my best yes. And if I tried to, you know, say yes to everything over here, that like this was suffering or that was suffering, and it's still a battle to me today because I definitely have that people pleaser personality. But I'm like, when I anytime I get asked anything that would require my time, I'm like, no, you know, and I'm like, I'm wanting to say yes, and I'm like, no, or not right now, you know.
Mhm.
And so I think definitely doing that. I still consistently I have working out on my schedule, so it's time blocked, and I can make sure that nothing else interferes with that. And you know, if it does, I'm going to move my workout around. I'm going to show up earlier or go, you know, show up later, just so I can make sure that's still consistently that boundary for myself.
Yeah, I think what you said there that's really important is this idea that there's so much more to life than just the movement aspect. So even getting your hour of movement in a day, that's great. There's so many other factors, whether it's looking at the mental health of journaling or meditating or whatever that looks like, and the nutrition and the social aspect. And all of these are all intertwined where it's hard to sort of piece and parcel them out. And one of the things that we're really passionate about with Greater Culture, I know you share as well, is this idea of like, how do we just help improve the quality of life for other folks? I think that's why we get into this business and why we want to help other people. And it sounds like for you, maybe that sort of definition or the way you think about it or tee it up has been different over the course of your journey. When you think about now, like quality of life for you, living a happier, healthier, more fulfilled life, what comes to mind or what sort of jumps out for you as like, this is how I think about it, or how I know if I'm sort of working my way towards it in my own life?
Yeah. Um, you know, I think, and someone asked us, like, what does CrossFit mean to you?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's like the ability to say yes. So the ability to say yes to whatever physical thing I want to do, whatever I want to do. And so I love like a good quality of life of going out and being able to hike or snowboard or, you know, one wheel or just like get out there and do stuff. I love the time in the gym and it's great, but like using what I do in the gym to be out. So I think that's like that good quality life in the physical aspect, but also being able to not have to stress about like nutrition or this or that, and just like having a plan, having a vision, and it's okay if I mess up or you know things like that, and just I think being happy and being okay, and it's not a fake happy, right? So it's you know it's a legit just having joy and just being happy with where I am, what I'm doing, and if I want to go do something, I have the ability to say yes, I can do it. I may not be great at it, but like I can get out there and do it thanks to CrossFit. So
Yeah, I think that having the freedom to say yes to so many things gives us a lot of excitement and joy, whether it's a physical challenge or whatever else it might be. But then also, what I appreciate what you mentioned there is just having a sense of like, where do I want to go? Who's the type of person I want to be? And am I showing up as that each day in the way that I make decisions about my movement, my nutrition, or my recovery, stress, all those things? Like, hey, this is the type of person I want to be. And if I'm living more consistently in that realm, like, great, I'm hitting the mark, taking care of myself, taking care of other people. And one of the things you mentioned earlier too is that CrossFit helped give you some of that confidence to take on new challenges, take on new roles. And I think so many other people experience that as well, of like, wow, me moving a barbell or lifting a certain weight, feeling stronger helps me physically, also helps me mentally. So I'd love if you could kind of speak on that, of like that confidence that you started to build and how it applied in some of the roles that you were being asked and nominated for outside of the gym, in the way that that played out.
yeah. So I think when you start to feel good about yourself and, physically, and then just feel good because you're eating good, you're sleeping good. For me, I wasn't like drinking so much. So, like, my sleep and my recovery was good. You just start to walk differently with a little bit more confidence. But then, like, as I was gaining this confidence, I was also trying to pursue like gaining confidence to be able to run a business. So I was investing in that, um, studying for my level 3. So I was focusing a lot in coaching and things like that. And so I'm like, huh, I can see that now, like I can see movement and I can start to see things. And so within that, it just really made me stand out and stand up for like who I am and what I want. And so I wasn't like gonna cower down. And so, like, when the role of, when I was nominated, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not deserving, super humble, but like I'm gonna take it and do the best that I can with it. And then when I applied for the regional one and I got it, I'm like, I'm gonna be the best that I can for this because I show up every day and that's just who I am. And so I think like that's one thing CrossFit does is that it encourages us to like continuously show up and show up as we are, but we're just going to keep getting better because we're consistently showing up. So even if it's, a movement that you're not comfortable with, like we're just going to keep showing up. And so speaking in front of groups and on podcasts and stuff is kind of like something that it's almost a challenge for me, but I just kind of keep showing up and just being myself and like just kind of keep moving through it. And the same every class that I go to, I'm like in the back of my mind, I have this, like I don't deserve to be here. I don't like how is this? I've been doing this for 15 years. I'm like, I know what I'm doing. And so, just continuing to believe in yourself. And I'm like, huh, I can get a PR on this lift today from that.
Mm-hmm. A couple things you mentioned there. One, just this idea of how we build confidence is it starts with some of those actions, and then it starts to transition into the way you talk to yourself, of like, I'm walking a little taller. I feel like I can show up in this room a little differently. I can apply for that job or that opportunity. I can test myself with some of the studying. So showing up and doing the work leads you to then start to have some of those thoughts or stories around, I'm definitely showing up. I'm a little bit more confident. Doesn't mean it all goes away and we never have doubts or insecurities, like you said, but it allows us to step into the arena and see what we've got, which is so cool. And I think that as a coach is one of the most fun things to see in the members. Is it's so cool to see them hit PRs or improve different areas of their life. But all of a sudden, when you see them like coming in and out of the gym, just a more confident person, they're, just showing up in their jobs and in their home life as a more confident person. Like, that's what gets us really fired up, I think, as coaches, to keep going. Have you noticed that as well in coaching others?
Yeah, 100%. I'm like, oh, I could cry like thinking about it, because like you see those people and you're like, it's it's not that like it's because of what I've done, but like just almost setting the example, of just
Mm-hmm.
continuously to show up. And I think one thing that was a huge difference is me is like just being more confident in my coaching, even though I can't do like ring muscle ups, I can do the progressions like crazy and I can coach them very well, according to myself. But, you know, like within that, just being confident in that and not straying away, I've been able to like help people become confident in just movement and not straying away. And, and then like you do start to see them come in and just being encouraging and being able to scale confidently, I think is huge as well. So helping someone realizing that they're not just scaling, that here is your same stimulus today that you're going to get, and you're going to get a freaking great workout, and you're going to build confidence. And then today you're going to be here. Tomorrow, this is what you're going to do. And then the next day, this is what you're going to do. And just being like super direct and not like leaning from that, and just seeing the confidence of people as they come in. So yeah.
Yeah, and I love that idea too of essentially almost leading from the front as a coach, where there's probably some insecurities around coaching certain movements or demonstrating certain things, and it can come across in some of those athletes. But the more you do it, the more sure you feel, and I know my progressions, I know the points of performance, I know what I'm looking for here, I know I can help you. That confidence comes across to the athletes. If they know, hey, coach is confident that I'm going to get a great workout in, they're going to keep me safe, they're going to help me move more efficiently, like that person's going to want to keep coming back to your class and to your gym, and which can help make a thriving business, which is what's really, really cool as well. So I love those examples you provided of building confidence leads to taking on more opportunities, taking on more challenges, and then how that bleeds down into the affiliates. And so as someone who worked into that regional rep role, talk to us a little bit about starting to broaden the scale of how you're taking care of people. So it starts with yourself, and then starting to lead an affiliate. And now you're trying to help a number, hundreds, if not thousands of affiliates within the region. What was that process like of trying to help and encourage and coach up other affiliate owners to try and spread the CrossFit message and get people into those gyms?
Yeah. So one of the great things is that CrossFit has really wanted to listen to affiliates, and is especially around like 2020 and 2021, really listen to affiliates and create products and tools that we can use as affiliate owners. And so being in it on that end, I was really like, oh my gosh, these are great things. And it just kind of keeps like getting better for the tools and stuff that are available. And so talking to affiliate owners that may not know how to do it, or, you know, are struggling in a certain area, it's great because I can be like, hey, listen, this is what CrossFit has. Let's try this. Or I've tried this and I've done this. And so just by experience, just kind of connecting them. Or also like in our area, we're really big in community. And so it's not that way, unfortunately, in a lot of areas and communities. They kind of see the other gym down the road as their competition and not their partner. You know, and there's enough people out there that need CrossFit that, you know, if every box in the world had 200, 300 members, that we still would not reach the number of people. And so nicely trying to get that across to affiliates and just be like, hey, you guys can make this huge impact in your area. Like, we just need to figure out how we can partner together. And so, you know, part of it is just introducing affiliate owners to each other. And, you know, like, hey, this is Johnny, this is Sally. You guys are on the same city, you know, and just kind of connecting. And we all have pretty much the same goals and missions, and just being able to kind of direct those conversations on that end. And then something we really just started being able to do a lot is working on it, those that are wanting to open affiliates, that kind of go in and apply. We've created tools and resources for them through a starter kit, and just kind of helping them be set up for success initially versus the way things used to be, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
so being able to talk to them, connect with them, and interact with them from the beginning, so that hopefully they don't make, you know, the big mistakes that a lot of us did make, you know. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I have greatly appreciated the ability to connect and create these conversations, because, you know, having an affiliate now for just over like 9 months, there's moments where you're like, okay, I know there's other affiliates in the area, but sometimes you reach out to some, you might not, and sometimes it can get a little bit lonely. But all of a sudden, it's like, hey, we've created this space where you can ask questions, you can get responses, and it's a more intimate group, it almost feels like, when you start figuring out who's in your area. And even just speaking from experience of like, the affiliate playbook is this huge document of all the different things. You're like, wow, this is really great information. We had the regional get together, which was such a cool experience to meet so many owners and hear their stories or ask questions and feel like you could build some relationships. So it really starts to feel like this big entity of CrossFit, and has all these thousands of affiliates. We're actually starting to work together, listen together, and ask questions to cut down on, like you said, some of those mistakes. And so now transitioning into basically overseeing all of the different regional reps. I know you're a little bit newer to that position, but what are some of your goals or intentions or things you're excited about as you take on the challenge now of overseeing all those different regional reps?
Yeah. So I have, anytime in the past, like when I worked in banking, I was a manager there. And one of the things that was top priority for me is just cohesion and relationships among the team. And so just really working to like continue to build and develop my team is super exciting to me. Um, I can get it in my way sometimes, and thinking these are very much like experienced affiliate owners. Sometimes some of them are all games athletes, regional athletes, So I'm like, I'm not that elite, but but no, it's still fun because I feel like I've done a lot in the Southeast, and just from feedback, been able to bring a lot to them. They all each bring their own thing, but it's definitely a platform now where I'm encouraging us to all like share our ideas, bounce off of each other. Like, how can we support affiliates, through the fires in Hawaii, or the hurricanes in Florida, and just become more of just even on a global platform of how we can share our successes and get this out, because everyone has like great stories, and it's just how can we get those out? Maybe we had an affiliate owner that, was super, super successful, the program, how can we share that? And so like for me as a manager to that team, and I think of more not necessarily a manager but just a partner with them, that hey, how can I help you get that information? How can I support you to support your affiliates? And so just seeing the growth within CrossFit, where we're going, it's just all super exciting and gets me fired up about it.
Yeah, I think what you mentioned there, the idea of storytelling is so powerful. And one of the great things that CrossFit has been able to put out is helping people understand this is what CrossFit is. You want some examples of all different types of athletes. Here are different stories of coaches and athletes and different boxes. And it really resonates with folks. It's hard not to watch those and either get inspired or motivated or be like, I just want to share this with so many different people, and then figuring out what's the platform like to do that. And then
Yep.
CrossFit's done a really good job of being able to push that out to everyone. So it sounds like the communication, getting the team on board, sharing stories, being able to collaborate are some big things that you're excited to bring to the table. Are you still planning on, staying involved with the affiliate level? Because I imagine as you continue to add all of these different responsibilities, it can be challenging to navigate and handle all of these different roles. Like, how does that, or how do you plan on balancing and working through all those different opportunities you have?
Yeah. So one thing, I definitely still want to be involved in my affiliate. I feel like talking to affiliates, it's huge to be able to relate. So I still want to be involved. I definitely am not coaching as much, but I keep myself on the schedule to coach
Mm.
because I want to continue to improve that. I want to definitely be there for my members and connect and see them. Um, Definitely have taken a step back from the number of classes that I coach so that I can focus more on the bigger picture of CrossFit overall. And so it's definitely one of those things that I have to find balance, but I have an amazing team behind me of staff that help and pick up and, you know, and do things that, like, I don't want to say that are assigned for an owner, but, are just around the gym. And my husband's very supportive as well. So if I ever need anything, he can always help me.
Yeah. Yeah. Surrounding yourself with a great team, super helpful as an owner, people you can rely on and trust, have those systems, operations in place that anybody can help to execute. And then, yeah, it gives you the opportunity to stay connected, see what's going on at that affiliate level, and see how you can broaden that. And so when you start to think about all the different practices, habits, behaviors that you've tried and incorporated over the years. We've already heard a few that have been really meaningful for you. You've got this pretty good sense of what quality of life looks like for you with the fitness freedom and moving towards that happier self. When you think about the most meaningful, practices that you're able to do on a day-to-day basis with all of the responsibilities you have, what are some of those like tried and true, this is on my calendar, can't take these away, that help you to, even with all of the responsibilities, still make sure you're showing up for yourself each day?
Yeah. So, oh my gosh, there's several. Quiet time.
Mm-hmm.
So just spending some quiet time, like in the morning or in the evening, sometimes at lunch, just making sure I get like 20 or 30 minutes of quiet time, reading, not as much, but like doing something during that quiet time with no phone. I also schedule social media time. So I have several social media accounts that I manage. And so it's on it's time blocked on my calendar. So I'm not like scrolling endlessly or like lose track of time. I'm very much like calendar oriented, so I schedule things. So I'm super organized that way. Those are definitely, it's a must. That being active. So if I'm not going to be able to go to the gym, like my next obsession is like rucking, and so I'll just like go ruck down the street, take my dog or something, even if it's for 20 minutes, just to kind of get some like blood flow going and moving. With that, that's definitely like a must if I'm not going to the gym. Um, I'm trying to think. Planning my nutrition ahead of time is definitely like super helpful. If I don't have it planned, like pre-planned, at least have an idea like what I'm gonna have to eat so that I don't eat like crap. But or not eat. It's super easy for me to drink coffee and be like, oh, I forgot to eat. Um, that ah, Small little thing. Oh, recently, so this is like the newest thing that I'm kind of getting into is like cold plunging.
Mm.
Um, and so, yeah, my husband and I got a plunge or the plunge, I think, um, I don't know, right after, like we ordered it way before the games, but it came in like while we were at the games. And so trying to spend time in that daily at some point, whether it be first thing in the morning or later in the evening. And during that time, it's like just kind of like chilling and relaxing. It could also be my quiet time, not in there quite as long as quiet time is, but just doing that. So those are just a few things. I'm very much systems, organized, very consistent with stuff.
Yeah. One of the things I appreciate is having the intentionality behind it of like, I have my calendar, it's set up, these things are on it, these are my non-negotiables, and then playing around and figuring out what that looks like, of just getting some kind of movement in, being intentional with what you want to eat, being intentional with social media. So having those boundaries are really helpful. And I'm very curious to hear about the cold water immersion, because I think it's such a growing trend right now, and a lot of folks are testing it out, trying it out, seeing what it's like. So what has your experience been so far with doing it? What does your frequency look like? How long do you typically spend in there? And have you noticed any benefits or things on the back end?
Yeah. So um, we started it, I think it was like 60 degrees or something like
Okay.
that.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was just going to get in there. And my challenge originally was like, how low can I get my heart rate to go? Like, relaxed. And it was
Yep.
a competition against like one of my head coaches. He's like, I got my heart rate to here. And I'm like, oh, I can totally do that. And so, from that, and I was able to stay like probably about 15 minutes in it, and which is longer than normal.
Mm-hmm.
And my husband's like, it's just because it's not cold enough. And so like we've gradually bumped the temperature down to where I'm not excessively in there for that long. And so now I'm anywhere from like 5 to 8 minutes in about 48 or 49-degree water with that. So if I do it first thing in the morning, I definitely feel refreshed. I've never really needed coffee. I like the taste of it, but I feel like way more awake doing it first thing in the morning. At night, I feel like I sleep better. I can go to sleep quicker.
Mm-hmm.
I feel good during the day. Kind of like my husband has been doing a lot of like podcasts and listening on it and stuff. And, you're talking about brown fat, and I'm like, I need this to start working with this brown fat right now. And so he's like, all the thermogenics and all that stuff, and joking. But I think definitely I feel better throughout the day with it. My husband has said that like him personally has felt like the benefits of he's just been in a better attitude. He feels good, more motivation for him, things like that.
Yeah, it's really fascinating because I think there's so much information coming out about it, about the physical benefits, and then like you said, like even the psychological benefits of like it's not necessarily something that you're excited and looking forward to. Like, let me jump in this cold water for however many minutes. So being able to do hard things, overcome those challenges, gives you some of that motivation of like, okay, if I can do that for 5 to 8 minutes or less, there's a lot of other things I can tackle in my day. And then also those physical benefits are certainly welcome as well. It's
Yeah.
something that we're looking into. It gets really hot here in the Southeast, as you know, so I think a lot of folks are like, I just want to get in it because I'm dripping sweat. It's so hot after a workout that a cold tub sounds amazing. We'll be interested to see if people feel that same way when the temperatures get colder, and when it's cold out, do you still want to get in a cold tub? But it's great to hear that you've had some really positive experiences, and that others are starting to test it out. And I've seen a number of gyms either add it as an additional experience for their members, or they're starting to play around with how do we bring that benefit to others. So it's pretty cool to hear your experience with it.
Yeah, I talked to the Ice Barrel team at the games, and just like the amount of mental help that you can gain from that is, and it's so much stuff that like hasn't necessarily been released, but it is coming out. And so, if you suffer with anxiety and stress and things like that, it's super beneficial to just gradually help get those better. And, I know someone that has done them every day, and then they traveled for work and wasn't able to do them for like 4 or 5 days, and they came back and they're like, my anxiety level is like out the roof. It's super, all this stuff. And then they started back in that routine again, and they're like, man, like, and nothing really ever changed in the outside of it, and it's
Yeah.
just that. And so definitely think there's so much good stuff to it, even if it's a cold shower, so
Yeah, especially when yeah, because that initial shock is just like an immediate stress response. And so
yeah,
then it's really the practice of like, can I notice and be aware of what my stress response is doing right now? And then do I have the tools to mitigate that, whether it's through the breathing practices or like the way you talk to yourself of like, okay, I can handle this. And I think, like you said, it translates to so many things outside of life. When we start to experience some of that stress or anxiety, it's like, okay, I've got some skills, I've got some strategies that I can use to help with that. So,
yeah.
so it sounds like you've got a variety of practices that have been really, really helpful for you to work towards having that higher quality of life. I'm curious because still being attached to the affiliate and working with members there, when you think about having some of those conversations around, hey, we know you're coming to the gym because there's probably some fitness goals, movement, aesthetic, whatever that looks like. How do you work on identifying and helping people in your gym move towards that higher quality of life? Or how do you help coach your coaches on having some of those conversations? 'Cause I think that's what, at the end of the day, CrossFit exists to do just that. And sometimes the challenge is communicating that to the members that, hey, it's great that you're here for an hour of movement. There's also some other things we'd love to see you potentially enhance. So are there things that you've come to learn from either other affiliates or from yourself in terms of having those conversations and helping members to improve the quality of their life?
Yeah, so I know a lot of gyms schedule like one-on-ones with their members and just to kind of check in with them. For me, I'm like super involved, and so it's almost like if I hear or I can see it on your face, I'm like, what are you thinking? Why are you thinking? Like, what happened to your day? And just really like tough love with them, making sure that they talk about it, that they get it out. And I'm like, okay, this is great. Like, then this is your next step. This is what you need to do. And just working on mental aspect, but also like me personally being vulnerable and just being open to them about like struggles or my story or anything with that. Vulnerability definitely can get some people like to kind of want to move and be more open. And so being vulnerable with my coaches being vulnerable to, to the members and to themselves, and just kind of being very like in conversation, right? Having a personal relationship with everyone in the gym, um, and definitely like, those boundaries and those lines, but also investing in your people. And so investing in them just to have a conversation like, hey, how was your day? Or like, you have that look on your face when you come in, like, let's just talk about it today. Do you just need to get on the bike and move? And so I think just helping them realize that it's okay to talk about things. It's okay to not like be okay. And I think that a lot of people have this perception that I have to be okay and that I have to have that appearance all the time. And so just letting people know it's okay to not be okay. But like, we're here right now and we're going to figure this out, and we're going to get a bike and row, or we're going to talk about it, and you're going to just walk away and feel better. But we're going to turn it off and like, let's just move and you'll feel better. So
Yeah, I think that's such an important piece of, one, having the care and empathy there, but then truly listening. So if you're opening class or greeting people as they're coming in and you ask them how they're doing and they go, not great, work was this, kids are this, sleep or whatever's doing this, of like being in it with them for a moment. They're like, hey, all right, let's figure out like, how do we maximize this next hour? Because it sounds like, what we have written up on the board may not be the best strategy for you for the day, but we're going to make sure we still are taking care of you. So having the care and empathy, and then also realizing like, let's adjust on the fly and meet you where you're at. And then on the bigger goals, having the one-on-one, staying connected, understanding what's truly important. Because just like you said, the goals shift, the priorities shift. And so being able to stay up to date with that with your members can be really, really helpful as well.
yeah.
So I love those examples of communicating, staying in touch with them, and having those conversations that are really meaningful.
Yeah.
One of the last things, always curious when it comes to guests who jump on the podcast here, is we've got this idea that we have our values, or sort of like what we think about or care about most, and that sort of guides and influences the way that we make decisions or the behaviors we do or some of the processes or habits. I'm kind of curious if you have a sense of, for yourself, like what are some of your guiding North Star, values, principles, standards that really sort of influence how you interact and see and work with other people?
Yeah, this is like a really great question. It's also a really hard question.
It is. That's why I save
To
it for
get
last.
to get those out there. So I like I really, when it comes down to it, like the people that walk in my gym, I want them to feel loved and safe and empowered. And so, like, for that, is every action that I take going to like show them love, make them feel safe, make them feel empowered? And sometimes love isn't like, kissy kissy love. It's like that tough love that you have to do. Um, and just being respectful with and acting in integrity. And I can keep adding ands on that. But that's like, when I say that, I want people to walk into my space and feel loved. And like, everyone gets it differently, but also that's how they can like let go of what suffering through that day, or their kids, or their sleep, or their work, or whatever, and just feel safe and empowered to come in and do something, but also to take that out and carry it with them out the door, and just maybe change the world 1% at a time that way.
I can see how having that sort of North Star guiding principle of love has really followed you through and impacted your journey from finding CrossFit yourself, loving on yourself a little bit, and then loving yourself enough to build up the confidence to take care of other people, take care of affiliate reps, and continue to spread CrossFit to as many folks as you can. And so with that, Jenn, appreciate your thoughts and insights. Thanks so much for spending some time to jump on the podcast. I know I've been very appreciative of your support in jumping into affiliate ownership and trying to get things off the ground. It's fun to be part of a community and have folks that you can rely on for that. So thanks so much, and can't wait to see what you're able to do as you manage and oversee all of the regional affiliate reps.
Yay. Thank you so much for having me. Just super excited. And I love what you're doing in your community, and what you're doing with this podcast is amazing.
Awesome. Thank you.